It looks like we're live, except for... Hey, there we are. Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing out there in Final Cut Pro land? I hope that you had a good Thanksgiving if you're in the United States. Let me put this up there. Final Cut TV. That's what you're watching right now. And I'm going to check on the chat. There we are. So, Thanksgiving came and went in the United States. Today is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Still waiting on Final Cut Pro 10.7. Apple's exact words were, it's going to come out later this month. So, later this month ends next week, right? It does. Later this month ends next week, which means Tuesday is a really good bet that we'll see Final Cut Pro 10.7 on Tuesday. I think that's the 28th. Does that sound right? Today's the 25th, 26th, 27th. Yeah, like the 28th. So that's very likely the day that we will see Final Cut Pro 10.7, so not too many more days. Hi, Richard. Good morning. How are you today? I am doing fantastic. Fantastic. We had great Thanksgiving around here. And we also had some, if you remember my outdoors, I had a leaf removal company come yesterday. And they vacuumed up, blew all the leaves. Took about 4 or 5 hours, a couple of guys. So the leaves are looking pretty darn good right now because most of them are gone. We've still got a couple of tricklers that are coming down, but I can handle that. It's the volume that I can't handle around here. We'll watch a video in a little while. So what's going on with Final Cut Pro 10.7? We haven't seen it yet, but Apple said their exact words were, well, let's look at their exact words while we're here. Let me pull that up. Let me pull this up. Here we go. (23:09), 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night there. Okay. So here is, let's look at this. Here's Apple's exact words. Final Cut Pro takes video editing on a Mac and iPad to the next level with powerful new features. Here's their exact words. Available later this month. Available later this month. That's what they said right here. Available later this month. Now that was on November the 6th, 2023, and that was on a Monday when they made the announcement, and they say right here, available later this month, right? So later this month runs out next week, because November ends next week and December starts, well, toward the end of the week. So the most likely time we're going to see 10.7 announced is Tuesday, November 28th. Carter says, good morning. How you doing? Carter, where are you from? Carter Bing. What a great name. It's like Chandler Bing. Grab your coffee, grab your Final Cut. This is Final Cut TV and coffee. We get together Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock Eastern. We talk about Final Cut Pro. We chat about Final Cut Pro, which we're going to do today, of course. And what do we have to talk about Final Cut Pro wise? Well, there's a couple of things. So one of the things that I want to mention. Let me just go here. Well, here, let's go back to the Apple announcement here. Today, Apple announces updates to Final Cut Pro across Mac and iPad, offering powerful new features that help streamline workflows. So they pre-announced an update to Final Cut Pro on November the 6th. It was a Monday when we were at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. They pre-announced it. It has a scrolling timeline. Apple announced, it says, So to ensure that creators maintain their flow while editing complex timeline, Final Cut Pro introduces automatic timeline scrolling. That is interesting. That was the biggest shock to me when I saw that announcement. No, when they showed the Final Cut Pro Apps team showed us the scrolling timeline before it was announced on Apple.com at the Creative Summit. They showed it to us how it worked. So Carter says, North Carolina. Now this is an interesting question. Michael says, could you explain how the new connected storylines will work? So normally when you make a storyline, you can't have overlapping clips. They have to be on the same lane. Normally, when you make a storyline, the connected storylines, you can select clips that are overlapping. You can select clips that have transitions. I'm not clear if it automatically selects the audio that's connected to those clips or not, because some of the screenshots that we've seen, audio is not selected, and sometimes, well, let's look at this one right here. Is this the one? No, that's the scrolling timeline. Is this the one? I'm not sure if that's the one. This is the one. Okay, we'll look at this one for a second. We don't know exactly what's going on here, but let's look at this picture real quick. So if you notice in this picture, some of the storyline, some of the audio is selected from the clips below it, and some of the audio is not selected. So how that works, I don't know, but all of these clips that are selected here, overlapping clips, clips on different lanes, right? You can see that. Clips on different lanes are selected and can be collapsed to a secondary storyline. You can see that down below. But some of the audio is selected and some of the audio is not selected, not outlined. So the stuff that's not outlined won't be going into the connected storyline. The audio that is selected will be going in to collapse to connected storyline. That's what the command says, collapse to connected storyline. So all these clips that you see here, once you collapse to connected storyline, will be combined into a single new secondary storyline. That's what it looks like. Now, I'm not clear on why some of the audio is selected and when the audio is not selected. I'm not clear to delineate what happens there. So we'll find out Tuesday. Looks like music will have its own lane at the bottom. Yes, because the music is not selected. That's absolutely correct. That much I'm sure of. Eric says he wins the Winwell 10.7 drop pool, always said the last week in November. Apple said later in November, so it could have been any time. That would be awesome. I hope we can create additional lanes like other editors. You mean storylines? Additional storylines? I presume you can connect more. You can collapse. You can create more than one collapse to storyline. I'm presuming you can create 2, 3, or 4. Now, I don't know why you want that many, but maybe 2 would be nice. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated, as usual. So I'm not clear. Let me go here. Where the heck is that? I'm not clear what determines, like I said, in this picture, you can see down below that some of the audio is selected and some of the audio is not selected, even though the audio, so some of those clips, their audio is not selected. Some of the clips, their audio looks like it is selected. I don't know. Is that automatic? Is a clip's audio automatically selected? Obviously, some of the audio is deselected. It's not included. So we'll have to wait till Tuesday to see exactly how this works. But it looks to me like you can select and deselect different audio, whether that's a lane selection or whatever, I don't know, but that's the interesting point. You can obviously select and deselect video clips, so selecting and deselecting audio clips would make complete sense, right? Time for coffee. This is Final Cut TV and coffee, right? Yes, it is. Final Cut TV and coffee. It's like folding the timeline. It's like, yeah. So right now we have two things we can do with clips in the timeline. We can create a compound clip, which lets you select overlapping clips, all kinds of clips on different lanes. You can create a compound clip, and you can create a storyline. With a storyline the way it is now, you cannot select clips on different lanes or overlapping. Well, if they're in the same lane, they can't be overlapping. So, but you can't select overlapping clips on different lanes. With the collapsed to connected storyline, you can. So it's kind of like a combination of what you can do now. You can take clips above the primary, you can collapse them into the primary. This is like the same thing, but you can now create a secondary storyline with all your clips. Now, what I don't know is, besides Command Z, thank you very much for the thumbs up. Besides Command Z, can you undo the collapse to secondary storyline? Can you go back in and re-edit? Or is it just a one-way operation? I presume Command Z will let you undo it. So if there's no way to uncollapse that connected storyline, I recommend, before you collapse the storyline, to make a duplicate of your storyline. In the browser, make a duplicate. Put name of storyline / project uncollapsed, so you can always go back to the uncollapsed version. That's what I would do if there's no command to re-edit. I think it's really just a timeline cleanup tool, moderately useful. Yes, it is, but that's better than what we have now. One of the issues that we have now when you export an FCP XML to resolve, if things aren't cleaned up properly, the translation gets broken. So I think this has to do with that, translating to like XML and stuff, to get everything all inside of one storyline. It's an interesting, I will be using it for sure, but I don't know, like I said, we don't know yet if you can uncollapse it, if you can go back and re-edit it. I don't think you can. It seems like it's one way. Just like when you bring the clips into the primary storyline, there's no command to take them back to where they were, except maybe Command Z. So I presume it's just like one way unless you do a Command Z. And I don't know how far back the Command Z will work. The Command Z I don't think will work once you open and close the project. So that's why I say make a duplicate. Before you do that command, make a duplicate of your timeline till you have it. Eric says seems one way. Yes, it does seem one way. It's a cleanup tool. It's a cleanup tool. I think it has to do with making the FCP XML better for translation to resolve and things. So Tuesday, everybody will be refreshing. I mean, could it come out on Monday? Yes, it could come out on Monday. Could it come out today? No, it's not going to come out today. I doubt. It just never comes out on weekends. And last week was Thanksgiving. I thought they might have released it last Tuesday to let us have it to play with over the Thanksgiving holidays, but that didn't happen. I'm not sure exactly. Are they working out last-minute bugs? Are they adding additional features? We don't know. We don't know. But if you thought, and as I thought, if you thought that 10.7 is not that big of an update, well, the big one is the scrolling timeline. That's been one of the top requests for Final Cut Pro since 10.0 and before, excuse me, since the legacy version of Final Cut Pro. So the scrolling timeline is absolutely the biggest feature. The other features are secondary features, but as I keep saying, this is the beginning of the 10.7 era of Final Cut Pro. This is not the end. This is not all we're going to get. This is the beginning of 10.7, the very, very beginning. So I'm excited for the scrolling timeline alone. That's what I'm waiting for. I have a couple of projects that I'm working on. Let me see. Here we go. A couple projects that I'm working on that I'm waiting specifically for the scrolling timeline because it's easier for me to work with the scrolling timeline. It's been one of their top requests. We're at the point now where Apple Silicon Macs can handle it. They've optimized the code. Intel Macs, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know. But if you're interested in joining a Final Cut Pro group that's dedicated to Final Cut Pro 10.7, I have your group. Final Cut Pro 10.7. That's what it's called. Now, this is going to be, it's pretty, let me just copy that. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is for Final Cut Pro 10.7 and forward. Okay, this is for Final Cut Pro 10.7 and forward. Do I have that? Yeah, here it is. This is the address. Facebook.com gloops. Oh, that's Final Cut Pro TV. That's not the one I want. So let me do another one. Oh, I got to pull this over here. Facebook.com. There we go. And I'm going to take that off. Add. Here we go. So Facebook.com/groups/Final Cut Pro 10.7. That is what we're going to be. I've already started it, so it's not it's already there. We just opened it up a couple since 10.7 was actually announced. So the idea is this, okay? There's dozens and dozens of Final Cut Pro Facebook groups. Dozens. There's all kinds of them. I belong to a dozen myself. So if you want to belong to one of those, please join them. This group is going to be dedicated to the Final Cut Pro 10.7, and the future. We're not going to be discussing Final Cut Pro 10.6, 10.5, 10.4, generic Final Cut Pro questions. We're going to be talking about Final Cut Pro 10.7 and the future. Is the future this way or is the future this way? Is the future this way or that way? One way or the other. So right now there's open enrollment. You just go over there and join it. You automatically joined Final Cut Pro 10.7. And yeah, we have 194 people, I think, so far. It's only 1 week old. So it's just the beginning stages. Our friend Torgrim, I'm hopeful for the coming week. Do we know all the features? We know all that they've announced and shown us. Doesn't mean that's all that's available. Maybe they're adding something else. We'll find out Tuesday, likely Tuesday. I'm hoping there's a couple of unmentioned features in 10.7. We deserve it. Yes, we do. But once again, Eric, this is the beginning of the 10.7 era of Final Cut Pro. Of course, we're going to be getting more features as 10.7 matures and as time goes on. This is just the beginning features. Now, like I said, to me, the scrolling timeline is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's been on my list for 15 years before Final Cut Pro 10 came out. Because Apple showcases DaVinci Resolve so often, do you think B-Raw is likely to come to Final Cut Pro and ProRes to Resolve? I would presume that would happen. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. As a matter of fact, since you mentioned they showcased DaVinci Resolve, the Final Cut Pro team, we had a Q&A at the Creative Summit. The Final Cut Pro team, somebody on the team said something to the effect that DaVinci Resolve is a great NLE or a very good NLE, and they consider it their top competitor. So they know about DaVinci Resolve and all the features that it has, the feature set and stuff. So a compliment from the Final Cut Pro team to DaVinci Resolve. As far as B-Raw and ProRes RAW, I don't know what the holdup is. Is it political within the groups? Apple and DaVinci? I don't know. Blackmagic? I don't know. There's something that's keeping that little connection from happening. It doesn't seem like to be that difficult. Okay. So Tyler, do you prefer B-Raw over ProRes RAW? Do you prefer one over the other? I know you can do ProRes in DaVinci Resolve. So I don't know what the future of that is. I have no idea. But Tuesday will be the day that we're going to see Final Cut Pro 10.7. I'm not a gambling man, but I will bet you a coffee that we're going to see it on Tuesday. We'll bet you a coffee. By the way, the people that supported me when I went to the Creative Summit, I got people, listeners, buymeacoffee.com. We also had we had three sponsors. We had CoreMount and we had Hedge, which I appreciate both of them. And of course, Future Media Conferences. They're also supported me coming to the Creative Summits. But the other thing is listeners, viewers, bought me coffees. It was fantastic. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It just an extra little thing, besides coming here on Saturday mornings, that you participate and you bought coffee. And some of it went to coffee, some of it went to some meals, some of it went to Ubers. Absolutely. Good morning from the West Coast, joining the party late. Do we know all the changes coming? No, we don't know all the, features. We don't know all, we know probably most of them, but the big ticket items. But there's already one that they didn't demo, but has to do with doing Shift F and jumping back into the browser inside a keyword collection, which I don't think we could do before. That wasn't one of the features. So the Final Cut Pro team is conservative when they announce new features in an update. They're not like Logic, which lists everything, every little thing that happens. They announce if there's a new comma in the help wanted. They said, well, there's a new comma we added on page 4. Not really, but it seems like it. They have a laundry list of all the changes. The Final Cut Pro team doesn't do that. They just do the major ones, and you have to find out some of the other ones by yourself. Don says, welcome, Carter, another fellow North Carolinian. So we got a lot of people down in North Carolina, apparently. But you're on the East Coast. I consider that the East Coast. It's not Middle America, and it's not the West Coast. So listen, I had a great time at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. It was the best. Number one, the Final Cut Pro team was fantastic. They did not disappoint us, and they did show us Final Cut Pro 10.7. We saw it exclusively first, then it was announced on Apple's website. Logic Pro 10.8 was announced 2 hours earlier on Apple's website, but they did not announce Final Cut Pro at the same time. They waited until we got the exclusive at the Creative Summit. I'm going to put together a video of the Creative Summit, my thoughts on the Creative Summit. I'm going to wait till 10.7 comes out because I'm waiting on all my projects. I'm waiting on that scrolling timeline before I start. So once that comes out on Tuesday, could it come out on Monday? Of course it could. Could it come out on not Wednesday, but Thursdays? Tuesdays and Thursdays seem to be the main time when they update Final Cut Pro. So I'm just going to say Tuesday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. I mean, who the heck knows? It could be out at midnight. I have no idea. I'll check it a few times. Carter says, Don Stafford, thanks. Both you guys are from North Carolina. I'm loving the scrolling timeline, but most excited about improved tracking. Yes, that looks pretty good too. The current iteration works well, but improvements are welcome. Use it often for face blurring and playing in a pain when it loses the track. Yes, I agree that they've improved the tracking situation with machine learning. That absolutely. I'm in the triad area of the state. Absolutely. So the only time I've been to North Carolina is when on my way to Florida. I've driven down there a few times, and I've got to North Carolina. I don't have any relatives. I don't think. Maybe I do. I don't remember. So I'm excited. Tuesday, Final Cut Pro 10.7, very, very likely. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. So we're talking back to ProRes RAW. I prefer ProRes RAW, and that's what my gear captures, but the color management resolve is much more deep. So wish list item in edit in Final Cut Pro XML to resolve are preserving ProRes resolve files. Absolutely. ProRes RAW files. Absolutely. I completely understand that. Yeah, the color situation in Resolve is just, that's what it's known for. Don said he's in Winston-Salem. You're going to get another Final Cut Pro person coming down south. Is he going to be, I don't know if he's going to be in North Carolina. No, he's going to be someplace, another southern state. Sam Messman's going to be moving down there. Sam made a surprise appearance at the Creative Summit. He wasn't listed anywhere. And he just showed up and was there. I'm really glad he's there because I don't get to see him that often. I did see him at NAB. I'm in Graham. Hopefully integration of color management in AI will give Final Cut Pro a boost. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to 10.7. I was going to edit some long-form personal videos, and when my kids were young, scrolling timeline will be a time saver. Absolutely, it will be. I edit the documentary. I had a documentary that was shown at the AFI Silver Theater in Silver Spring last April, and we're going to do a second showing because the first showing was so well received. 2 hours, over 2 hours long, 2 hours and 20 minutes. We had an intermission. And once again, I'm doing this constantly, back and forth, scrolling instead of a scrolling timeline, which it now has. I'll be exciting and updating all my projects, but I won't. First off, I've already backed up Final Cut Pro 10.6.9 and 10.6.10. I've backed up both those applications, back them up now, waiting for Final Cut Pro 10.7. Any important projects you have, back up the library file. This is exactly why I don't smush all my video inside of a library and make a big bundle like this. For example, the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit footage, 1.5 terabytes of video. If I smush that all inside of a Final Cut Pro library, how do I back that up? I didn't. I made one folder called Final Cut Pro Creative Summit 2023. That's my master folder. All the video files go inside there. All photographs go inside there in separate folders. All audio clips go inside there in separate folders. And the Final Cut Pro library that I created goes inside of that master folder. Now, all I have to do is select that Final Cut Pro library file and duplicate it. It's only megabytes. But if everything was smushed inside the library file, I'd have to duplicate 1.5 terabytes? No way, I'm not going to do that. According to Apple's style, AI tools are unlikely to appear. No, they're very likely to appear. They've already started with machine learning. 10.7 will undoubtedly require updated libraries, exactly. So be prepared now. You have the whole weekend. Today's Saturday. You have Sunday. You have Monday, probably. I mean, they did announce it on a Monday. They could announce it Monday. They absolutely could announce it on Monday. But if I had to bet between Monday and Tuesday, I would say Tuesday, but we don't know. I wonder how quickly the waveform visuals will update as the timeline scrolls, especially on my Intel iMac Pro. So that's one of the reasons, that's probably the main reason we haven't seen a scrolling timeline until now. They were waiting until everything was optimized so the waveforms could be drawn effectively while the timeline scrolls under the playhead. That's one of the things they were waiting for. I don't know about the Intel version. I should have asked them. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It's appreciated. I didn't think about that. I don't have any Intel machines. I had a 2019 Mac Pro, but I sold it in preparation to get my new MacBook Pro, which I'm not rushing out and buying the M3, not because I don't think it's a great machine. I think it is. If I knew it was going to be a year and a half or 2 years before we saw the M4, I would buy one. But they updated the MacBook Pro in January and then updated it again in October. They went to the M2 and now they're going to the M3. So like 8 months, they updated it. If I thought the M4 was going to come out in 2024, I wouldn't buy the M3. I'd just wait. If I thought it was going to come out in 2025, I probably would buy the M3. But this M1 Max that I have is fantastic. I am ecstatic with this machine. I love it. It does a great job with Final Cut, with Logic, Ecamm Live, like we're broadcasting now. So the Intel is going to be an interesting question. I hope they've optimized it in the code. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. So the Intel people can have a version of Final Cut with the scrolling timeline as well. Now, here's the deal. If for some reason your machine is too old and it, causes problems, you have to just turn it off and wait till you get a more modern machine, or it'll work on the Intels. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there with Intel machines, but I'm looking very much forward to the scrolling timeline. I've got a family wedding that I've been working on. I'm going to do a video of the Final Cut Pro, like a summary video of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit 2023. That's another one. I have the documentary that I'm working on. It's over 2 hours long that we're going to do another showing. We're going to do another showing in 2024 to the theater. And I got to open that up into the new version. That's 3 projects. Plus, there's a couple of other ones that I'm working on. And I've been shooting a lot of Apple log footage. I have a collection of that. There's like 4 or 5 projects that I'm just holding back on the reins because I want to use a scrolling timeline. So hopefully there's no deal-breaking bugs in 10.7. But if there is, they updated 10.6 2 times within 2 weeks when they had bugs. That's an all-time record. Here's to hoping that plugins will keep working after updates. So the plugins that had problems last time, I know one plugin manufacturer, thank you very much for the thumbs up, had a specific problem. Motion VFX, I think it was. They have betas at Final Cut Pro, I'm sure they do. See if everything's working. But I think that was FX plug or something that was the issue, not a scrolling timeline. So hopefully, we'll see. We'll see what happens on Monday or Tuesday. I mean, it was announced on Monday, they could release it on a Monday. It was announced on Monday, they could release it on a Monday. But if you had to bet between Monday and Tuesday, I'd say Tuesday, probably, because that's typically what they update. Usually a Tuesday, sometimes a Thursday. Very rarely a Wednesday or a Friday, and never over the weekend, so we won't see it this weekend. Now, they can do what they want, obviously, so. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. It is appreciated. So let's look at this real quick. I mentioned to you that I had a big leaf cleanup yesterday, right? I mentioned to you, this is what it looked like. So that was the cleanup. Those guys did a fantastic, fantastic job. The leaf piles were literally 3 foot high. They were literally 3 foot high. If I walked into the piles, they'd be up to my waist. Approximately 2 tons. They took out 2 truckloads of leaves, and I think their truck was 1.5 tons. So that's how many leaves that I have on my property. Now, the funny thing is this. They came yesterday, they removed all the leaves, And then this happens this morning. This yellow tree, it's not an oak tree, it's some kind of an odd tree, dropped all of its leaves this morning. I just started laughing when I saw that. I don't know why it didn't drop them yesterday. Have no idea, but it waited for the leaf cleanup guys. It waited for the leaf cleanup guys to disappear, do their job before it decides, hey, we're gonna drop our leaves today. We couldn't drop them yesterday. We're gonna drop them today. This is nothing. This little bit of leaves is nothing. I can handle this without any issue. But I thought it was funny that this one tree wanted to wait till the leaf cleanup guys left before they dropped all their leaves. Might have been a temperature thing. It was a little bit colder last night. It's hard to tell. From what I've seen, it seems like you would not get that much better editing in Final Cut Pro going from the M1 to the M3 for most people. People doing 3D being the exception, yes. The thing is that this MacBook Pro is amazing. This M1 Max, I have maxed out everything. Maxed out RAM, 64 gigabytes, the top graphics processor, the top CPU. I got a 4 terabyte SSD. I would not get less than that. So I made a separate partition volume on this, and I installed, what's the new version of the Mac OS? Whatever it is, I installed a separate partition for that. Eric says, nature always gets the last laugh. It's just that one tree. I mean, less than 24 hours, they left here at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and 12 hours, 13 hours later, this one tree says, oh, we're going to drop our leaves now. Once again, those leaves are nothing compared to what I had. It's just a little, like a dusting of snow on the ground. I can handle those without any issue whatsoever. But the sheer volume, there's no way that I can do anything with 2 tons of leaves. I can't, it's way overwhelming for me. I can keep the front yard cleaned up. I have a leaf vacuum system on my zero-turn tractor. It's a high volume, but it fills up in a matter of minutes. I could make 3 and 4 passes, and it's filled up, and I have to empty it, put it in cans, and I do the same thing. There's no way I can handle 2 tons of leaves. Do you think that it's possible for Final Cut Pro to change to subscription system? Possible, yes. 10.7 is not. If they decide to offer a subscription for Final Cut Pro 10, don't give us that as the only option. Let people have the ability to buy it outright, perpetual license, or a subscription. That would be fine. Don't make it subscription only. They would see backlash like they've never seen before if they did that. Yeah, they're dipping their toe into the water with the iPad version. The iPad version makes sense. It's more for school kids. It's more for college kids that can't afford the $299 price point of Final Cut. But I always tell them, you can get Logic, Main Stage, Compressor, Motion, and Final Cut for $199, perpetual licenses for all of them, if you're in education, if you're going to school. If you want to just try Final Cut on the iPad app, it's only $4.99 a month. Speaking of which, there is that. Let me see what that is. That is this one. Look at this. LumaFusion is half price right now. It's $14.99 one-time purchase price, So that's 3 months of renting iPad, Final Cut for the iPad. 3 months, you can own LumaFusion. They've never charged any additional money after you buy this version. The Final Cut, is it multicam? The final FCP XML export is on sale for $4.99. And I think multicam is on sale for half price as well. So you can get multicam, FCP XML export, and LumaFusion for the normal price you would pay for LumaFusion. For the normal price that you would pay just for LumaFusion, which is $29.99. And there's no more additional fees after that. So to get back to your question, do you think it's possible? Yes, it is possible. It is possible. But they shouldn't do only subscription if they do it. It's not going to happen for 10.7. It's a free update like we have. Apple is leaving money on the table by not offering customers a perpetual license version of Final Cut Pro on the iPad. I agree with you. That's what I would prefer, although I don't have an iPad that'll run it, so I wouldn't necessarily get it right now. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks tons, Richard. Gotta run. Roz at Inspire Video says. So I'm excited. First time I've been using Final Cut Pro, one version or the other, for over 20-some years. For the last 15 or 16, I've been wanting a scrolling timeline. I didn't understand why they didn't have one. It's finally coming after all these years. Now, we had to wait 12 years for dupe detection. We had to wait 5 years for remove attributes. But this is one of the top requests they've had, is a scrolling timeline, and we're finally getting it. Do they listen? Yeah. This is perfect proof. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. Lots of thumbs ups today. It's fantastic. So I'm going to go back to graphics here a second. LumaFusion's on sale for $14.99. If you just get LumaFusion, $14.99. It's a no-brainer. It's 3 months renting Final Cut on the iPad. Same thing. I like LumaFusion better than Final Cut on the iPad from what I've seen. I don't like renting my software, especially small developers. I don't mind. A company that's big as Apple, really, just give the ability to buy it outright. But look at this. I'm going to show you this. Somebody jumped the gun. When you go to submit a request through the app, through the Final Cut portal, it already says which version of Mac OS Final Cut Pro you're running on your Mac. And Final Cut Pro 10.7 has been there for like a week or two. It's already there in the help section. Not the help section, when you go to submit a bug report or a feature request or whatever. So this is one of the things, this is my top 10 lists, my top 100 list, excuse me, that I've had. Scrolling timeline has been number one since I brought it out. This is what I want to do on Monday or Tuesday. I want to cross it out and put this up there. Finally, after all these years, after all this patience that I and others have had, we're finally getting a scrolling timeline. This has been number one on my list for a long time. So, just 5 more days till November ends. Is 10.7 coming next Tuesday? Yes, we've been talking about that. It could come out on Monday because they did announce it on a Monday initially, but that was because of the Creative Summit. I'm saying Tuesday is the most likely time. That's typically when they update Final Cut Pro. But it could come out on Monday. They could say, well, you guys have waited long enough. We're going to bring it out on Monday. It doesn't make a difference. Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday's my bet. Monday would be certainly welcome. It would be certainly welcome. Absolutely would be welcome. Wow. So let's do a couple more things. One of the, let me get this up, movie. This is obviously after the leaves have been cleaned up. That is nice. So one of the things I wanted to show, this is one of the best presentations at the Creative Summit. Her name is Storm Smith.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's a video producer from down at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C. Here's another friend of mine that I met at the Creative Summit, Jasper, if you know him, from Hedge. So what do you think about the summit so far? How's it been treating you, Final Cut Pro-wise and stuff? What do you think?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's just the place to be for the community.
It seems like it has so much energy this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it always does, but for some reason it seems...
Yeah, and also the whole, I think it was really good that the first day went to Apple already. So that it was amazing as well there. It was really nice that we actually went to Apple Park this time instead of the visitor center. So
Yes. Here's one more. Let me put this on. Link. Let me put this on. Here we go. This is the expo night in the Creative Summit. So I was streaming live with my iPhone and Ecamm Live, and I just talked to different people. Steve Martin and Mark Spencer were the first two on. They were waiting, and we got them on. Here's somebody else you might know. Chris Hawking.
We are live on Facebook and YouTube.
Hey, Internet.
Chris Hawking came all the way from Australia
Hey.
specifically for this one update.
I did.
Because
yes.
you wanted to get rid of scrolling timeline out of right? You wanted to cross it off.
I just went in there on the first day and I just clicked a few buttons and now you have scrolling timeline. Are you happy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you sent it to him. That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's right.
So one of my friends from Australia, Chris Hawking, and it's scrolling timeline. He's had it in Command Post for a while, but I wanted it natively in Final Cut. I'm sure it's going to work very, very well. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. So I go to the West Coast twice a year, typically. Creative Summit, which I'm so glad it came back. 2019 was the last one we had in person. This one was fantastic. A lot of energy. There's some new people in Final Cut Pro community there. Jen Jager was one that I met. She introduced herself I was in the lobby at the Aloft Hotel, and she introduced herself, and we sat and had a conversation. So we'll be getting together some other times. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. It is appreciated a lot. So there's a lot of energy at the Creative Summit. That's one of the best things. It just was different than the other ones. The other time that I come to the West Coast, what's not quite the West Coast, but it's close, is I go to NAB in Nevada, which is coming up in April, middle of April. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It's appreciated. And I've already started making my arrangements for that. So I'm looking forward to going there. Whether or not Final Cut will make an appearance with Apple, I don't know how that's going to work this year. Since we've already had the Creative Summit, I don't know how that's going to work. Don't know how that's going to work this year. We will have to see. There is the backyard. Those are the leaves that came down. they were waiting for the leaf guys to leave, and then they showed up this morning. It just started falling. It was just really strange. I looked out the window and all the yellow leaves were falling. But anyway, so what are you most excited about for 10.7? Or if anybody going to install it on day one, I will install it instantly. I've already backed up 10.6.9. I've already backed up 10.6.10. I've already backed up my important libraries. So I'm ready to go. Monday or Tuesday, I will be checking the Final Cut Pro App Store. As a matter of fact, let's just check it right now for the heck of it. Where are we? Here we go. Now, this is how I check the App Store. This is how I check the App Store. What I do is, yes, you can go here. What I do is I go to the search field up here. I type in Final Cut Pro. I do a search. And if it says open, there's no update. And I click on Final Cut Pro to make sure. Usually I go back and forth a few times. And when this says update, there's an update there. This, to me, works better than going down here to the update section. And I know it'll have, you can do Command R down here, but I find this much more, I find the updates are available here by doing this back and forth a few times. That's what I typically do. So I'll be doing that. I must do it a few times on Monday, do it on Tuesday. Final Cut Pro will have to be updated in March for use with Vision Pro. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you're thinking that might have something to do with NAB? Yeah, you're right. They could have Vision Pro. But the problem with Vision Pro is at this point, they have to be custom fit, don't they? To your eyes and your head and stuff. And they can't be doing that in person so much, can they? I mean, it seems like it's a little bit of a process. But they certainly could update Final Cut Pro for that. And I don't think that would be the only update. But we'll see what happens. I'm interested in NAB as I normally am. I'll be going there, I've already started making arrangements. It's a little over. It's 5 months, 4.5 months away. And I'll be like I did with the Creative Summit, I'll be reporting live from NAB. I have a Facebook group called FCP at NAB. It's specifically looking for anything Final Cut Pro related at NAB. So we will once again be doing that if things go as planned. I don't know who knows? Let's get 10.7 launched first. Try it out, see what's going on, see if there's any additional features we didn't know about. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. See if we get any features that aren't announced and go from there. What do you think? Anything else Final Cut Pro related? They have Black Friday sales. I have a YouTube video up with a bunch of Black Friday sales, of course. As usual, usually we get involved with that. LumaFusion is a great deal, $14.99. It's half price. They don't announce when that's going to end. $14, that's 3 coffees, 2 or 3 coffees, depending on what you're getting. So, what else do we have? So, I think next year, Eric says it must be in person, actually, from what I understand. Right. And don't they have to custom fit and do some adjustments with your eyes and stuff? So it seems like it's a drawn out, it's a complex, well, I don't know if complex is the right word. You just can't put them on and they work. They have to put them on, they got to fit them, they got to adjust things. Then, what do you think, 5-10 minutes of adjustments and then you can see something? That seems like it's a lot of work. But anyway, I'm not going to be buying Vision Pros. $3,500 would be for a new MacBook Pro, not Vision Pros for me. I understand people like them. That's completely fine. Apple has pre-announced not only 10.7, they've also pre-announced that Final Cut Pro will support Vision Pro editing, whatever that's involved with. By the way, one of the things that I really like, now I'm not saying this is, where did that go? I'm not saying that this is going to last. I have no idea. But right now, I love these. This is the Crucial X9 4 terabyte SSD. I have two of these because they work with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I can record directly to this with the Thunderbolt with a USB-C cable. It's a very fast transfer. I can back up my videos to this. I can shoot directly to this. With the Blackmagic camera app, I can choose this as a place to shoot even H.264. Anything I want, I can shoot to this. So I have 1 terabyte in my phone, and then I can shoot to this 4 terabyte. Now, once again, does this last? I have no idea. I just bought it. But don't get the X10 because it's not nearly as fast on the phone. As a matter of fact, it's about half the speed of this one, half the speed of connecting it to the Mac. Get the X9. Get the X9 Pro if you get one of these. The 4 terabyte version right now is on sale at Amazon for $182 for a 4 terabyte. Do you ever have USB mic problems after an update to OS in Final Cut Pro? Final Cut Pro sees a mic, but the recording on Final Cut Pro is mute. If the audio is available in QuickTime, I'm not sure why it would be mute in Final Cut Pro. Will the update speed of Final Cut Pro become faster in the future? Interestingly, the Final Cut Pro team says they are going to update Final Cut Pro on their schedule. Period. Which means we'll probably never be satisfied with the speed of updates for Final Cut Pro. I say probably. I'm very satisfied with 10.7. I'm very satisfied with the Creative Summit. The Final Cut Pro team was great, cordial at the Creative Summit. The team at Apple headquarters, we got to go to Spaceship Campus, was fantastic, very cordial. Everything was great. And do I have any more? I think that's about it for most things. This is the lobby of the Aloft or Loft hotel where we stayed. This is the outside. So when I got there, I'm still on East Coast time. I got there on Sunday, and to be honest with you, I was kind of tired from the airplane ride and then the ride from the airport in the Uber. There was a lot of stop and go traffic. There was like herky-jerky. And I just when I got there, I said, I'm going to go upstairs and just relax. So I went upstairs and relaxed, but I was still on East Coast time. I went to bed, I don't know, 7 o'clock. I got up at 12 midnight, a little bit after, because that's my normal time of waking up on the East Coast. So I got up and I took a walk, went out and took a walk down the main highway there. So anyway, the Final Cut Pro, big thumbs up for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Big thumbs up for the Final Cut Pro team, saving the announcement for us, showing us the first glimpse of 10.7 anywhere in the world, not the beta team, obviously, anywhere in the world to us exclusively. The host, we got to Apple Park. On those footage, was you using the iPhone or the Lumix? I was using both. I was using both, depending on what kind of situation. I use my phone. It's easier. The quality is superb. Sometime I shot in H.264. Sometime I shot in Apple Log, which I really, really like. And the Lumix I brought to the Creative Summit to shoot in some of those classrooms that were dark. And it was exquisite that it completely lit up the dark. It filmed much lighter than what was actually visible. Did everyone at the summit prefer the Juniper Hotel to the new one? Maybe they'll switch backs next year. That's what we're hoping. The Juniper couldn't accommodate them this year. I don't know if because of numbers, because the Juniper was already booked up, but they could not accommodate the Creative Summit. And I think the answer to your question is resounding yes. They preferred the Juniper because everything was in one place. The majority of people were staying at the Juniper. All the presentations were at the Juniper. But both the Aloft was a fine hotel. It had very, very fast internet that was easy to access. No password required. I streamed 8 hours from the Aloft, no hitches whatsoever. 8 hours of live reporting from the Aloft. So the internet was superb, at least up in the rooms. So that was really good. The people were very nice. They had food there, etc. But it was kind of barren around the area. There was like no stores and stuff close by. With the Juniper, we're all in the same hotel. We all get up in the morning and go to the library. We're all hanging out in the lobby. All the presentations are there. You can walk to a dozen different places to get something to eat. So the Juniper absolutely was a preference, I think, for everybody, including Future Media conferences, but they couldn't accommodate them this year. I don't know the reason. Too many people at the Creative Summit. I think there's 170 some plus staff, plus speakers, etc. So I think hopefully we'll go back to the Juniper or something like the Juniper. Everything's in one place next year. I think the answer to your question is everybody preferred that. I think even everybody knows that. So I agree. Have you been to the summit, Eric? Have you been there? Have I met you at the summit at any point? I don't know. I know you from these live streams for sure, but I don't remember if I've ever met you there. But we had a great time. There's some new young people there, like I said, that I met. Justine was there again. Scrolling timeline. I'm not even sure what that is. What is that scrolling timeline? Let me see what that is.
Scrolling time.
Oh, that was with Mark. So here's one of the people that I've known this Dylan for a while. I've met him at NAB from before. But this is the patio where we had lunch. It was really, really nice there.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty
are you
darn
going
good.
live or are you just shooting?
I go live in the mornings
Okay.
making clips. I'm not live right now.
That's awesome.
I'm going to broadcast the Apple presentation live.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll be thrown out. I did that one time in 2017. I was Facebook live streaming from the Apple presentation at NAB when they announced 2 million.
Yeah.
That's my video. Yeah. I didn't ask them. I just did it.
Just did it.
But that ain't gonna happen today. I know. They'll carry me out. I know that ain't gonna happen.
Have a disguise for this afternoon.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna describe myself as you.
I'm not gonna let you anywhere in there.
Oh, no, that's not a good idea.
So that was where we ate lunch. They provided, Future Media Conferences provided lunch every day, box lunches for everybody. Very, very good. But we ate out in the patio area. The first day we went out there and we were in the sun. So the second day, Michael Yanovich and I, we got out there early and got into a shady spot. Eric said had never been. Never been. I tested my X9 Pro 1 terabyte with this on my 15 Pro Max, and I had its speed reach faster than official stated when emptying up to 800 megabits, have full transferring than my T7. Yeah, I found it faster than my T7 too. I have both a T7 and a T7 Shield, which both work fine. They both work fine on the phone. The T9, the X9, I'm sorry, the T9 Shield, I got the T9 Shield. It's very, very slow on the phone. I don't know why. So I sent it back because I need to have my SSDs work on the phone and the Mac, both. But the T9 was slow on the phone. I don't know what the difference is. So I use the Crucials, the X9s, and they've been working fine. I have a speed test app and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. This week, Final Cut Pro 10.7 will be out for sure this week. They said by the end of the month, Monday or Tuesday are my bet. Could be Monday, but I think Tuesday's more likely. I'll be checking. I'll come back on here live once it goes live. It's probably not going to have any surprises, but I'll just demonstrate the scrolling timeline or whatever in some of my longer projects. I'll open up my Final Cut Creative Summit project and we'll watch it scroll for the first time in history. For the first time in history. I'm expecting it'll be smooth on my MacBook Pro. Let me just see, what is this? Oh, yeah, there we go. We'll play one more video. You're being filmed in ProRes Log. This is the first time?
This is the first time.
There you go.
What an amazing moment. Thank
It
you.
is. It absolutely is an
Thank
amazing
you for
moment.
capturing this moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
So that was Jen. She introduced herself. Like I said, besides that encounter that we had, she introduced herself. I was in the lobby of the Owl Loft, and she came over and sat down at the table, and we talked for a little bit. So that was very, very cool. There's some new young people. They don't know the history of the Final Cut Pro community podcasts, like Final Cut Pro Radio and stuff, and FCPX.TV, which is the longest running Final Cut Pro 10 website. Mine's the longest running. I got that immediately when Final Cut Pro 10 was announced, and it's been running ever since. So I'm going to get off here and get some other things done around the house. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. If you have any other questions, post them now before we get off. Final Cut Pro 10.7, Monday or Tuesday. I'm probably Tuesday. It's supposed to be out this week, so Monday or Tuesday. No sense in waiting till Wednesday or Thursday, Apple. Final Cut Pro team. I don't know who's in charge. Is the Final Cut Pro team in charge of that, or is Apple in charge of that? No idea. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you very much for stopping by. As usual, I will be back live when Final Cut Pro 10.7 comes out, just for the heck of it. There's probably no surprises there, but we'll just come back on live. So it'll probably be an afternoon, Monday or Tuesday afternoon next week. And of course, we'll be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. Until then, thanks for tuning in. You are the best. I have the best Final Cut Pro audience for live streaming from anywhere. Thank you, everybody. I'll talk to you Monday or Tuesday afternoon, and of course, next Saturday as well.